Hello, welcome to Emotional Badass, where Moxie meets Mindful. I'm Nikki Eisenhower, your host, life coach, and psychotherapist. And on today's episode, I am sharing my experience with heavy elbow bodywork structural integration therapist, Damian L. Hines. Hello, y'all. I am excited to talk to you about my experience of visiting with Damian. This is the first part of a two-part episode. Sometime in the near future, I'm going to interview Damian L. Hines from Heavy Elbow Bodywork. He's a structural integration specialist, a tissues hygienist. That's what he told me on my first visit. But I wanted to explain from an emotional place what my experience was of going to him while I'm excited about it and going through the process. And when he and I can coordinate our schedules, I'm going to have him on the show and interview him. If you're on our Patreon and you've listened to the episodes there's an episode where I talk about the multiple jaw surgeries I have had as a result of my childhood trauma. I'm talking about this because many of you out there listening are highly sensitive and you are struggling with chronic physical pain because of injury, because of genetics, because of stress, because of trauma. I sat down and tried to make a list of all the things that I have done since I've been about 16 years old to manage my chronic pain. The more I sit with this list, the more I come up with more and more things that I've tried over the years. I've been to countless chiropractors, somewhere in the realm of 7 to 8, maybe 9 or 10. I've probably had 20 to 30 different massage therapists. I've tried Thai massage. I've had people stand on me and walk on me. I've done all the yoga I've done. Also acro yoga, partner yoga. I've done yin yoga, which is very restful and restorative and works with the joints and the ligaments. I've done restorative yoga, hatha yoga, jiva mukti, vinyasa flow, forest yoga, ashtanga, all to manage my pain. I've done traction therapies in practitioners' offices and at home. I've had all kinds of medieval type tools that strap to my head that hang off of counters and tables with water weight to try to release the tension that's chronic in my neck and in my jaw. I've tried salt baths, float pods, the deprivation tanks that are gaining in popularity. I've tried cupping. I've tried TENS units, the electrical currents that go through your muscles to try to make the muscle let go and relax. I've done Reiki and dry needling hurts like hell. I have different balls that are taped up and rollers and massage devices. I do heat therapy and CBD oil and magnesium creams. I have supplements, lemon balm, known as Melissa. I try valerian and kava and California poppy, hot and cold muscle creams, capsaicin, the fiery hot stuff that's in peppers, those creams, passion flower, lobelia herb. In my 20s, doctors gave me Vicodin and Soma, Flexeril and Wellbutrin. I was young and I was ignorant back then, and I allowed doctors to over-medicate me. That little combination had me browning out, walking around, having no idea a few minutes later that I was having conversations with people. It was scary. I've had MRIs and countless x-rays and seen specialist after specialist after specialist. I needed a massage and really quickly Googled something like heavy massage. Now, for years, what I have said in a joking way is that I need my muscles to be taken off of my body. I need someone to lay down my muscles on brick and hammer out like with a meat cleaver, and then just gently reattach my muscles to my body. Now, that's been a joke that I've said for many, many years. Now, walking into Damien's office, he said, well, what made you pick me? And I said, the name of your company, Heavy Elbow. I need a heavy elbow. I carry a lot of muscular tension. And he asked me, well, where do you feel it? And I kind of lifted my hands up and I did this little halo motion around the top of my chest and my neck area, my jaw. And he looked at me and he kind of walked around the room and looked at me from some different angles. Now I found this company and Kat and I got it scheduled. And I didn't really pay too much attention other than intuitively I wanted to work with this guy and he was close by. So I was really expecting the full take your clothes off, get on the table, turn on the massage music, and get ready to relax. That is not the massage experience that I had. Damien slowly and deliberately explained to me what was going on in my body. Now, y'all listen to me explain a lot of emotional things in a way that is very simple and helps clarify a lot of what has been going on that you've struggled to find words to explain. The feeling that I know people get with me for their emotional work, I was sitting there starting to get that feeling from Damien for my physical work. And yes, no surprise to listeners of the show, I started to tear up. At some point, Damien said, yeah, I think I can get you out of pain. And I choked up and I started crying. And I said, I have maybe let go of even believing that I could get out of this pain. It's been with me 25 years, maybe longer. So he said, let's get ready. And I said, clothes off? He's like, no. You keep your clothes on. He works over the clothes. And this isn't about massaging out a little bit of tension. This is about being able to laser beam in on the places in my body that are so structurally tight and fused, it's as if there is internal scar tissue. Now, this is my sloppy way of explaining my experience as a layperson who does not work this intensely and specifically with the body. When we have Damien on the show, towards the end of this year or early next year, he'll be able to explain and answer some specific questions and speak from his expertise. He put on some gloves because a lot of my pain and trauma, where I have carried it, has been in my jaw. Now, energy workers, yogis, people who lean a little more hippy-dippy than my clinical counseling colleagues, we would say that in my history, I had to carry a big secret as a child. Now, I don't know if I've shared this yet on the show, but my abuse memories were repressed. In one of my early workshops a few years ago that I did live and in person, different than the online workshop that I'm offering now, someone asked me, why do you think your memories were regressed? Because they were. I had no idea that I was being sexually abused until about 22, when I had memories flood back to me in the middle of the night. And in that workshop, I had never considered that question before. I thought, what a great question. And I had to say, I need a minute. It took me aback. My answer to that room full of people was, I believe from this point, looking back, that was my own mind protecting me. That I was powerless to change my situation at the time. I was powerless to change and protect my sisters. So I couldn't change it for them. And I believe looking back that my mind hid what was happening to me to self-protect. What that means for the body and for energy workers and those of us that lean a little hippy-dippy is, where am I going to hold my trauma? In my throat, in that chakra of the body that was closed and locked down because I couldn't speak. I couldn't use my voice to say what was going on. So the first place Damien wanted to do his work was in pushing in my mouth. Now, the amazing thing about this is that intuitively, I trusted this man almost immediately. I could not have done this work with him 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The only way that I could sit because it hurts. It hurts and it hurts and it hurts in ways that I can't describe. He put gloves on and went to pushing on different areas of my mouth. And while he pushed, it's slow, steady, hard pressure. And I can feel it and he can feel it. And it's as if my mouth was shaking. And after a certain point, sometimes a minute and a half, 2 minutes, that tension point would let go and release, and I could feel profound opening. For 2 different spots in my mouth, I could hear my mouth moving and opening. Now, this was not pretty, y'all. And I know a lot of you that are recovering from having a critical parent, from having a neglectful childhood or a harsh childhood, you're very, very scared about these things that are very human. Our bodies have different smells, and we are sensory creatures. As he was moving these things around in my mouth, my eyes were watering. My mouth was watering. My sinuses were opening. I was snotting and crying all over the place in a physical way, and would have to stop and sit up and take a breath and blow my nose. My legs were shaking from the amount of energy coming out of my body in a way that was mind-blowing. I could feel release in my thighs. Now, in yoga, for years, my yoga teachers have told me, and I have told other students, we hold tension and trauma and pain in our thighs. As he pressed on my mouth, my thighs were wobbly. When I stood up to go to the bathroom, I had to catch myself on the wall and really center and keep my knees bent to not fall over. Damien was so lovely holding space for me, because in my own Nikki way, I wasn't just having my experience. As I was crying and sobbing, because a few times I just sobbed hard. And he said, lots of people cry here. I said, that's because you're helping release tension. This tension in my mouth and jaw probably started 25 years ago. It's because of abuse, and you're helping me let that go and release it. And what I realized on this last trip to go see Damien was that he knows a secret that I know, that I've never been able to put into words this way until meeting him and working with him and feeling this experience, because I have been in less pain now after 3 sessions with Damien than ever before in my life. This man may be the missing link to help me really figure out how to get out of pain and how to help so many other people get out of this chronic pain. As he was pressing on my mouth, even with it garbled and messy and me crying and snotting, I'm saying, oh God, and in pain, letting it out. And he didn't ease up. And through crying and tears, I sat up on the table this last time and I said, you know this secret. You know that when I'm releasing that pain, that I have to go through that pain, that something good is happening, and you know not to ease up. How do you know that? And he's like, you're right, I do know that. I don't know how I know that. I said, you know physically with the body what I know emotionally with my clients, because that's what I know how to do. I know how to have somebody feel a trust in me. And I know that I have to push on some of their most painful points and make them sit with it and sit with it and sit with it until it can shift and it can release. And it's a tremendous honor to be able to sit in that space. And what I have been looking for and not realizing it my whole life are other people that know that secret in their own modalities. And Damien knows that and can practice that with me. That he knows in that moment where I am screaming and crying and hemming and hawing and spitting and snotting, that's the moment that he just presses a little harder, a little while longer. And he can say to me, breathe, count to 50. It's going to go. It's going to go. It's going to go. And I can sit up and I can say, I trust you. I know it. I feel it, but damn it, it hurts. It's the old saying that there is no way around, there is only through. Trying to avoid this pain in our recoveries keeps us in it longer. The only way I could sit and do this work, it's a combination of sort of Rolfing and his own techniques that goes very deep into the musculature and into the fascia to work out this kind of chronic stiffness. And that's what we do emotionally in this work. I can't wait to have Damien on to share his experience of working with people, to share what happened when we got together to do this work. It is so important in this healing work that we learn to trust our intuitions. I can't sit with that man hurting me if I didn't trust my intuition that it was a good hurt, a necessary hurt, a hurt that pushes the bad shit out and makes space. That's what my body has always needed. That trauma makes us contract and pull in and get tense. And those of us that carry our physical pain that way, I hope that I am carrying the torch. Do not ever give up. Keep trying new things. Let go of the anger of the time wasted, the money wasted, the feelings of beating your head against the wall, the tears shed about how scary it is that we might be in pain the whole rest of our lives. But to know that these modalities are growing, that people are learning to use their expertise, and they are valuing and answering the calling to help get people out of pain. I hope something about me sharing today helps you put together a piece of your own pain story, whether it's emotional or physical or both. Know that you can come on the Patreon and ask me about Rolfing, about Damien, about the different modalities I've tried, about your own fears, your own resistances, and about what it means to face our fears and face our pain and move through instead of trying to dance around it for a lifetime. Thank you for giving me space to share my story and to share the wisdom that I have picked up hearing so many of you share your stories with me. Please don't ever give up on yourself or what's possible when we put one foot in front of the other and we keep going. There are so many healers for you to meet on this journey that you can't even imagine will help you figure things out. Hang in there wherever you are. I want to thank the Patreon producers of the show. I'm about to give some shout outs, and we've got a discrepancy here in the studio. I may have screwed something up and may have erased something, so you may accidentally get a bonus shout out. So here we go. I'm going to give you our Patreon shout outs. Thank you for supporting us. It helps keep the show commercial free. We have been building that community for a year and a half. There's a wealth of information on there for any of you who come on and support Patreon. For about a cup of coffee or two a month, you get access immediately to all of the episodes that we have put up there that are not here on this iTunes feed. Come find those exclusive episodes where I can get a little more personal and a little more in-depth and a little more specific than here on the iTunes feed. When you come and support us at Patreon, you get a shout out. Here are some shout outs from Patreon. I want to thank Alyssa, Courtney, Jess H, Shirley, Malia D, Aaron D, and Nurse Mel. Thank you for supporting us and growing our community of HSPs, empaths, and survivors. Come find us and participate, get a shout out, get those episodes, and participate in our next monthly live stream Q&A where you can see me on video answering your questions and the really rich and powerful questions that y'all submit every single month for our live stream. Come find us at patreon.com/emotionalbadass. In hope and light and love, I'm going to sign off. And I hope you continue to take care of yourself. I promise I will. I am an emotional badass. You are an emotional badass. And together we are where Moxie meets mindful. Bye-bye.